KOIN 6 meteorologist Josh Cozart here as we have a latest weather update. Severe weather now starting to fade here across the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be an ongoing trend as we work our way through the next several hours. This KOIN Now special edition is an update on our KOIN 6 weather alert that was in place as a severe thunderstorm watch still is in place as well. That's where we are going to really be looking at the active weather slowing down as we push our way through the rest of this evening. Below us, that's a live look out over the Vancouver waterfront. Thanks to the Hotel Indigo Kirkland Tower camera for giving us that view. And to the side of me, that's where we are picking up on some great rainbow views here across much of the Pacific Northwest. And if you happen to have your weather photos or videos, be sure to head to KOIN.com, and under the weather tab is where you can submit your photos for a chance to have them air right here on KOIN Now or on KOIN 6 News starting at 11 o'clock tonight, or Portland CW at 10 o'clock. All right, let's give you a live look here across our area. That's where we're picking up on the cloudy skies. Still kind of ominous for the most of our region as that severe weather threat is really starting to diminish. Picking up on a few light rain showers out towards the Forest Grove area thanks to our Explore Tualatin Valley camera. Also picking up on those ominous clouds out over downtown Portland as just a few isolated rain showers continue to push through our area as well. All right, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Let's talk about the threat of severe weather that we had been ramping up on over the past day or so. Well, it really kind of fizzled out overhead. Still a potential for a stray severe thunderstorm or two as the National Weather Service is still keeping a watchful eye on a lot of those thunderstorms. And what it did do was drop our temperatures significantly, breaking record today, 81 degrees, the mid-60s, a far cry from that as our wind gusts are still on the breezier side as well as this latest system pushes its way through. And for the rest of this evening, really seeing that severe weather threat diminish as we push our way through the rest of this evening. But I mentioned we broke a record today. That started off the fun and wild Wednesday of weather for us here across the Pacific Northwest, smashing the old record of 73 last set back in 2015. So let's talk about why we didn't actually see all of this extreme severe weather move through our area like we had kind of planned out. Well, it's all because of that cap we had been talking about, the lid to our atmosphere. So earlier in the day, we built up the heat across much of our area, and warm air, it likes to rise. And as it rises, it cools, condenses. That is, as long as the temperature profile is cooling with elevation, which is normal or typical for us. So that's exactly what we saw today. But then it hit that warm air layer where it couldn't rise anymore. We eventually started to see that break down, and what we anticipated was for that cap or the lid to be ripped right off and allow for the atmosphere to just be explosive. But that didn't necessarily come true. We started to pick up on a little bit more of an onshore flow than what we had anticipated, a little bit earlier than we expected. So that kind of just made the cap fizzle out overhead. So we still got that buoyancy in the atmosphere. Those thunderstorms still are able to rise and grow rapidly, but not to the severity level that we had originally forecasted for it, talking about the inch to 2 inch size hail. The National Weather Service issuing some of the first ever watches for that potential right here in the Pacific Northwest. So very unusual for us. We had our concerns about it, but we wanted to lean on the side of caution, make sure that people were aware of the potential and to not be caught off guard. So although this forecast was a bit of a bust in many cases, look at it as a great opportunity for all of us to kind of refresh ourselves and remember what we need to do in the event of a severe weather outbreak. Having said that, there is still that potential for severe weather. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch that remains in effect from about Lynn County, just north of Eugene, Springfield, stretching all the way up to King County and Seattle. That's where we have the potential through 9 o'clock to see maybe an isolated severe thunderstorm. So that's going to include large hail, gusty winds over 58 miles per hour, and maybe even an isolated spin-up tornado. And now as our sun starts to set, we're losing the daytime heating. We're also losing our visual indicators of some of that severe weather. So that's also a bit of a concern. So we still need to be very watchful. That comes, of course, as we have a lot of this activity still pushing its way through our region. You can see our live satellite and radar picking up on a lot of lightning strikes across much of Northwest Oregon, Southwest Washington. But as we lose that afternoon heating, we'll start to see the energy drops significantly, and it will transition over to just some rainy weather for much of our region. We did have some special weather statements issued not only for the Salem-Keizer area about 30 minutes ago or so. That system has really kind of weakened, and we'll just kind of zoom in for us here. That's where we're really seeing a lot of that activity come to an end. You can see it with some of those lightning bolts striking just around 7 o'clock or so. Further to the south into parts of Douglas County, that's where they had some indication of some stronger storms, but of course that threat is also fading as our radar isn't necessarily as strong further to the south. Kind of a shadow of where our radar is unable to pick up on. But as far as the Portland, Vancouver metro area, really just kind of seeing the on again, off again, heavy rain showers. Again, the potential still there for some active severe weather, but for the most part, we are really seeing that threat wind down. All right, let's talk about the weather pattern. We were in the warm sector today. That helped us to warm up rapidly. And as it pushed its way onshore, that really allowed for a lot of that instability to build in the atmosphere. I've got just a few of the rainbow views that we were able to pick up with all of this active and ominous clouds and the scattered showers and brief raindrops and sun rays that moved through our area to give us some great views. But it was all because of this massive and quite impactful, despite the actual outcome of the weather events that we saw, still some significant weather and a powerful low just off the west coast of Oregon and Washington. So the Storm Prediction Center out towards NOAA still keeping that slight risk for severe weather. That's about a 2 out of 5 chance to see things like a brief spin-up tornado. Again, we're losing the daylight hours, so that's going to make it really difficult to actually pinpoint if anything does come to fruition. And then also picking up on the abundant lightning, hail, and also the gusty winds. Now, to create or to label a storm cell as severe, you have to have one,